Hey everybody, AC here, and welcome back to another episode of What Will I Be Watching? This time we're talking about the Winter 2022 anime lineup and the animes that I watched during that time. So first off, we have the second half of Season 2 for Demon Slayer, the Red Light District arc, and yeah, it's a must-watch. It's a must-watch. It's Demon Slayer. It's Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is peak. It's incredible. It's incredible. And of all the arcs they've covered, yeah, I think this is my favorite. I really do think this is my favorite. Like this arc was absolutely peak. So, and let's see. Then Arifreta season 2. Also really good. Really good series. I really enjoy Arifreta. I think it's a fantastic show. We recently got the third season. I want to say it was just earlier this year. That we got the third season. No, it was last year. It was just last year. I want to say it was like the fall lineup of last year that we got it. But this one I like this season more than I like season 3 and season 1. I think this is the best. I think season 2 is the best season of the show so far. There's going to be one more season. We know season 4 is in the works, and it's going to be the final season since it's covering the final 3 volumes of the series. Yeah, season 2 I think is my favorite season so far. So definitely a recommend. Then next is How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, season 2. It's better than season 1. I already liked season 1, and I recommended it. I also recommend this one. It's a great anime. Then next is The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. This is basically how a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom diet. It's basically a diet version of that. Same basic premise of a guy who, has realistic expectations of everything, who's incredibly smart, and he helps rebuild a kingdom that's in massive debt. And if you like Realist Hero, you're gonna like this. The only difference is that this is a fantasy, not an isekai. Not every fantasy is isekai, which, some YouTubers can't seem to understand. Joey the Anime Man, who inspired this series, basically every time he did one of these episodes, literally anytime he saw that it was that an anime was a fantasy series, he automatically assumed it was an isekai and just wrote it off. Like every single fantasy series, he just automatically assumed it was an isekai, and he would just refuse to watch it. And that's just, that's incredibly unfair. He would say that every single fantasy is an isekai, and then go complaining how there's no pure fantasy anymore. He would complain that there's no pure fantasy, but also claim every single fantasy is isekai. So he always skipped the pure fantasy. So the only reason he was complaining about it is because he was skipping the pure fantasy, thinking it was isekai. And so, yeah, there is a difference. And he never really understood the difference. But this is a good one. it's a good one. Definitely a recommend. Let's see. The strongest sage with the weakest crest. Now this is an isekai that is very, very boring. Well, I can't even say it's an isekai because it has all the same isekai tropes, but he was not reincarnated into a different world. He already lived in this world, and then he died and was reborn in the exact same world. So it's technically not an isekai, but it has literally all the same isekai tropes. Like every single one of the classic isekai tropes, this anime does it. But, he reincarnates into the exact same world. So it's technically not isekai, because isekai by its definition is being reincarnated into another world, or summoned to another world. It's about transitioning from one world to another. But he stays in the same world. So it's technically not isekai, even though it shares all the same tropes of isekai. And I'm going to be honest, this one was boring. This one was incredibly boring. There was like one character that I don't remember the personalities of like any of the four main cast. I don't remember a thing about any of them. And I vaguely remember there was this teacher character that I actually thought was entertaining. And they get like only a couple scenes. They only get a couple scenes. And I remember vaguely thinking that they were entertaining. And I can't remember if they were a man or a woman. I can't really remember much of anything about the anime because it was just so boring. And I just did not care for it. I do not recommend. I do not recommend that. The third and final season of Teasing Master Takagi-san. Oh man, season 2. So season 2, the final episode of season 2 actually had a good ending. Season 2 had a good ending. And then the third season, like every single episode of the third season was actually progressing their relationship. Like if you decide to watch Teasing Master Takagi-san, watch the first episode of season 1, the last episode of season 2, and then season 3. That's it. Do not bother watching any of the other episodes from season 1 and season 2. Just the very first episode of season 1 and the very last episode of season 2. That's it. Because literally every other episode in between, all 22 episodes between those two episodes, is the exact same format. Literally the exact same format. Main character challenges Takagi-san to a game. He wants to win. He wants to beat her at something. She outsmarts him by teasing him to get him all flustered, and then she wins. He had this big plan on how he was going to beat her, and she just teases him a bit to get him all flustered, and she ends up winning. And then he tries it again, in that same episode. Same thing happens. You get the whole process repeats twice in every single episode with no variations. There is no variations, nothing unique about any of it. The first episode introduces you to all the characters, and that's fine. It introduces you to all the major characters. It introduces you to the main male lead, the main female lead, along with all of their friends. This group of like 3 girls that are always like doing something weird, and the 2 best friends of the main male lead. Like, you get introduced to all of these characters. You get introduced to all of these characters in the first episode, and that's fine. And that's fine. And then you get to the last episode of season 2. And you actually see their relationship progress a bit. You actually get to see their relationship progress a bit, and that carries on into season 3. Like, that is the turning point for their relationship. And, like, that episode is the catalyst for everything that happens in the 3rd season. And, like, every single episode, their relationship is progressing more and more and more. They're actually mixing it up. They're actually having things happen. And they aren't together by the end of the 3rd season. There is a movie, however. There is a movie that takes place after season 3, which wraps up the whole story. So yeah, if you're gonna watch the series, just watch the first episode of season 1, the last episode of season 2, season 3, and then the movie. Just skip the other 22 episodes of the series. Just do yourself a favor and just do that. But season 3, because it actually made things happen, and it actually progressed the story and their relationship, I'm gonna say recommend. I'm gonna say recommend for that one. Next is Life with an Ordinary Guy Who Reincarnated into a Total Fantasy Knockout. This had an interesting idea, an interesting concept. Two best friends both get reincarnated. Two best friends get summoned to another world by a goddess. And the one of the dudes really wanted a girlfriend who would really wanted a girlfriend, and he's into blondes with beautiful faces, and he's like they were each basically granted one wish, and he wants a girl like that. And then his best friend is like, hey, I just want to continue hanging out with my bro. I just want to keep hanging out with my best bud. And so the goddess decides to pull a prank by turning the guy who wanted a girl into the girl he described. But instead of having her be an actual like curvy babe like he wanted, she instead turns him into a lolly, because that's what his best friend is into. And basically, they can't be far apart from each other for extended periods of time. Otherwise, they will both end up hurting immensely. Like they're gonna have extremely sharp pains in their heads. They have to stay close together, and every time they look at each other, they start to fall more and more in love. That is the curse. So every time they look at each other, they both start to blush, and then they both just start punching their own faces, trying to snap themselves out of it. And that's the whole anime. That is the running joke. Like, so the whole premise of like two guys being summoned, they're best buds, and then one of them gets turned into a chick. And so now it feels super awkward because they already had kind of a bromance going, and now suddenly they're in this really awkward position. Where like one of them is like the ideal woman for the other one. Like it is exactly the kind of woman that the other one likes. Like, that's an interesting concept. That sounds like it could be hilarious. But it's a lolly. It's a freaking lolly. I'm not into that. I don't like that crap. So, like, the concept is interesting, but they have one joke, and they just ride it into the freaking ground. It stops being funny after episode 2. The first 2 episodes, there are some funny moments here and there in the first couple episodes. By the time we get to season 3, it's not funny anymore. So, I can't recommend it. I cannot recommend it. She professed herself pupil of the wise man. That's the next one. somehow this is even worse. This is somehow even worse than the other one, because this is two animes where you got a guy who ends up transitioning into a girl, and both have been done terribly. Both get done absolutely terribly. We don't see, in neither of these series do we see the struggles that these guys go through now that they've become women. Like, we don't get to see like what like the kind of struggles that they actually that they have to go through, and like how they have to get used to this new this new reality they find themselves in. We don't get to see any of that. Like, So Almost Spotter So What did it best. Like, So Almost Spotter So What absolutely did it best with the girl there. So Katrea, I believe it was. And this one, yeah, it's just worse. It's just worse. It's just worse. Like, it's a game, and the dude got tired of being an old wizard, and so like tried creating a new character just for shits and giggles when he was drunk, and fell and like passed out, and accidentally hit the enter button. He was planning on like going back and unsaving all that stuff, and going back to his old avatar. He just wanted to make a new one for shits and giggles, but he wound up saving the new one as his this new one as his default, and so now he's just stuck as a lolly. That's 3 different animes about a guy who gets reincarnated as a woman, and they're all lollies. It's these two and Tanya. Just once, I would love to see this whole gimmick of a guy being reincarnated as a female, but they actually have an adult's body instead of having the body of a child. Like, please. So burn it. It's stupid. It's incredibly stupid. Burn it. Next, Orient. Orient. This is made from the same author as Magi. And I love Magi. I love Magi. I love the anime. I love the manga. It's fantastic. I really wish we had gotten a continuation of the anime. It would have been amazing. But it's never going to happen. Orient. Season 1 of Orient, it drags. The first like couple episodes are really interesting, and then after that it drags. It really drags. And just it takes forever for the main character to get his weapon. Like, he uses like a wooden sword throughout the first couple episodes, and then it breaks, and then he's just weaponless until like the last episode of the season. And we're gonna get to see him actually, like, use his weapon in the next season, but like he goes basically the whole season without taking a single W. He takes L after L after L throughout the entire season. And it's not until the second episode that we actually see him take a W. So I mean, it does tell a good story, and it does have good characters, but this first season drags so much. But you also need to get through this in order to see season 2, which is so much better. Season 2 was way better than this. So I would say cautiously recommend. I can't fully recommend it, but I would say cautiously recommend, simply to get you to season 2. Next is Miss Kuroitsu from the Monster Development Department. Yeah, this is a series about like an about it's one of those evil organizations that you see in like um that you see in like Power Rangers cartoon, Common Rider shows. And it focuses on the villain. It focuses on the villain group, um, and the scientist who's making all these different monsters uh, that the heroes have to fight. Um, and so it's a comedy. It's a comedy. It's meant to be funny. Um, and there's like maybe three characters in it that are actually entertaining. Uh, I and to be honest, I can't remember most of what happens in this series. I remember that the first successful monster they create is this wolf girl who basically just wears a black bikini and thigh high thigh high knee high socks, knee high sock heels, um, and she's really dumb and really strong. And the leader of the evil group is a blonde lolly, of course, because of course they are. Again with the freaking lollies. Um, I'm looking at an image of it and I'm trying to remember who half these characters are. To be honest, yeah, I can't remember who half these characters are. So yeah, I would say don't recommend. Okay, are there any others down this way? No. No. Okay. So, last few. Princess Connect Redive Season 2. Oh, Season 2 is fantastic. Oh, I already loved Season 1, and Season 2 is even better. And it actually like wraps up the main it actually wraps up the main story that was started in Season 1. There are still some lingering questions. There are still some lingering questions, but they're questions that don't really need answering. You can kind of like those questions can be left up to interpretation. And they can be left up to interpretation, and you still would feel like you know enough. You still would feel like you know enough to say that the series had a satisfying ending. So a few minor loose details that could be explored, but they don't need to be. Um, and just we get an amazing ending to everybody's story arcs. Like this is it. Like it's just the whole series is just 2 seasons. It's a 24 episode series, and it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love this series, and I love all the characters that are. I love all the characters that are in it. I can't think of a single character in this entire show that I actually despise. Like they are all fantastic. Even the main villain, even the main villain. Like when you actually learn like when you actually learn what she's all about, and you learn her plans and everything, you start to sympathize with her because a part of her knows that what she's doing is wrong. A part of her knows what she's doing is wrong, and a part of her does want to just leave all this behind, just to quit, to just quit all of it. But she's gone too far. She's gone too deep. Like she's already like she's already dug herself too deep into this hole. There's no way she can get out at this point. She made her bed, and now she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. But you do see that there is like humanity in her. There is still humanity in her. She just she herself believes that she's not worthy of forgiveness. She's not worthy of a second chance. And so she's just doubling down. Um, and so you start to feel a little bad for her. You start to wonder, is there any way that she can be redeemed. And they find a really clever answer to this. They have a really clever answer to this. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is fantastic. The way the story ends is absolutely amazing. Is absolutely amazing. It is an incredible ending. I don't want to say it's a perfect ending, but it is. I don't want to say it's a perfect ending, but it is like really up there. It is like really up there in like anime endings that feel so incredibly satisfying. So I would say this is a must-watch. So, Land of Ladale. Oh my god, I love Land of Ladale. Oh, such a feel-good. It is such a feel-good isekai. Such a feel-good and relaxing isekai. The main girl is dying of a terminal illness, and she had one game throughout all of her years in the hospital. She was allowed to play a VR game. It kept her brain stimulated, and is basically what allowed her to live as long as she has. So at the end, she puts it on one last time and goes in, and like she dies as she's going in. Her body dies as she's going in, and so her mind is now, in this game, and she's just in the game now. And she's an elf. She's an elf, and she actually has kids. She actually has kids that were NPCs that she adopted. And when she wakes up, it's been like several hundreds years. It's been a few hundred years since the last time she was in the game. Like, she wakes up and it's a few hundred years later. And so she goes and meets her kids, who are, half elves and a dwarf who, they live for long periods of time. They live for a long time. And they all have families of their own. So she's a grandma, technically. We're just kind of seeing her travel this world that she loves so much, and she's given a second chance because she was just stuck in a hospital basically her whole life. So now she gets to experience all of these new things that she never could before. And so she's valuing every single experience that she has in this new life that she's been given. And it is very calm. It's a very calming series, a very feel good series. I absolutely love it. And I am absolutely looking forward to season 2. We got season 2 confirmed, and I'm so happy about that. I am ready. I want to see more of this. So I would say it's a must watch. So last two. World's End Harem. Ugh. Another anime that is pushing the boundaries of what is considered anime versus what is considered hentai. Those of you who heard the title, you probably know already what anime this is. It kind of took over the internet for several weeks when it was airing. Hold on. Bug. Anyway, yeah, dude wakes up. Dude had a disease, and he had to go into a special healing pod. He had to go into a special healing pod for 7 years, in order to cure it. And when he woke up, he found out that he was one of 5 men left in the world. There are 5 men. That there are 5 men left. That there are 5 men left in the world, um, and the world has basically gone to shit because without men, uh, society is unable to function properly. Like there is almost no power anywhere. There is power at like big government buildings. At big government buildings, they've found ways to have power there. Have power at, like, different government buildings and like hospital facilities. Um, but most other places in the world just don't have any power because, well, nobody is manning the electrical plants, and there are very few cars left that are able to drive because there's not a whole lot of gas or oil left because there's nobody manning the oil rigs around the world. And so just like housing has like crumbled. There's all the houses in are in terrible states of conditions, and construction is completely halted. Like, all of these male dominated jobs just aren't being done anymore because the women that have inherited the earth don't know how to do that. Don't know how to do those jobs. They don't understand how to do all that stuff. And so he and these other 4 men find out that, they have to breed as many people as possible because all the men died due to a virus. A virus killed all the men. The 5 of them were spared because they all had the same disease that the main character had. After being cured, like, the process of being cured basically made them immune to the virus. It made them immune to the virus that killed all the men. And so any males born from their DNA will also be immune. And women tried insemination in order to get males be born, but as soon as the males was born, they died from the virus. They didn't last a week. And so just babies don't really get born. Babies don't really get born in this world. And so, like, society is on the brink of collapse. And so it's up to these 5 men to repopulate the earth and make as many male babies as possible. And the main character himself, he wants to find out exactly what the virus was and if there is a way to fully get rid of it, a cure of sorts. Because while the 5 of them are the 5 remaining men in the world that are still alive, there is still 5,000 other men that are in sleeping pods, that are being kept alive in those sleeping pods. But the power keeping them alive is finite, and they have about 3 years left. Before the power goes out and they all die. And so the main character has to find a cure for the virus and get it to be spread throughout the world, so that way the virus can be no more, and they can wake up the other 5,000 men, and everyone can begin to repopulate the world. And it is a really interesting story. The one thing that I think kind of bogs it down is the main character has this childhood friend who he's in love with, and like he made a promise to her before he went into his deep sleep, that when he woke up, he would find her, and the two of them would basically give each other their first times, and so when he woke up, he's told that he needs to start breeding, and he's like, no, I want to find my childhood friend. And like, I get that you want to keep your promise to your childhood friend, but he doesn't know whether she's alive or not because she hasn't been seen in several years. He has no idea if she's alive. He has no idea if she's alive or not. And every single day that passes, more and more women just drop dead. Drop dead from malnourishment because there's not enough food to go around, because there's not enough farmers around the world. So food distribution is going at a snail's pace. And if he were to actually bring in some of these women who are malnourished and say, hey, I want to breed with this person, make sure they're taken care of, they would actually be taken care of. They would be fed. They would be saved. So, like, come on, dude. Lives are on the line. Like, the fate of the world is at stake. I feel like this is one promise you can afford to break. I feel like your childhood friend will understand. The world is at stake. She's going to understand. And he does. He finds her at the end of the episode. At the end of the season, and basically the anime has not covered past that point. Like, it shows them reunited, and that's basically it. But I've read the manga, and yeah, she is understanding. She's like, why didn't you start breeding other girls? Like, I'm flattered that you decided to actually keep your promise to me, but this is the fate of the world. I would have understood. I would have been completely fine if you had chosen the fate of the world over our promise. That would have been no problem. Like, she is completely cool with it. And he's like, no. I had to keep my promise. It's like, ugh, dude. So, but the show is still very entertaining, and there is a lot of mystery about in the show, like about the virus and some of the things we learn about the virus, which is really interesting, which is really fascinating, and I feel like it's kind of relevant now because there's a lot of modern day women who like to talk about how men aren't needed in society. They like to talk about how men should be eradicated, and that now women are able to impregnate themselves and all that stuff. And it's just, it feels like this is so prevalent in today's world. Like, this is so prevalent in today's world because it gives us a glimpse of what the world would actually look like if all the men just suddenly got eradicated. So, like, it is very topical with like what's going on in today's world. So I would say I would highly recommend it. I would say it's a must watch. And finally, the last one, the best for last. My Dress Up Darling. I've gone on and on about My Dress Up Darling. I'm gonna make this brief because I've gone on and on about the anime. I love the anime. I love the anime. I love the animation. I love the animation. I love the music. I love I love the characters. I love the pacing. I love everything about it. Gojo, my dude, my bro, my homie. If I was a chick, I'd probably have a crush on Gojo. Like the dude is awesome. He is a freaking catch. That dude is a freaking catch. He will take care of a woman. He would take care of a woman. If I was a chick, I'd have a huge crush. I would have a huge crush on Gojo. That man is amazing. He is a great character. But Marin, Marin Kitagawa. Oh, my beloved Marin Kitagawa. Oh, I love her so much. When people like to talk about like their anime waifus, like anime characters that they just obsess over, and like any beautiful piece of artwork that they see of the character, they just have to save it to their phone. They just have to save it to their phone because they love the character so much. And anytime they see a poster of the character or a figurine of the character, they have to buy it. They have to buy it because they love the character so much. That's me. That is me. That is me with Marin Kitagawa. I love her so much. Like, she is my waifu for life. Absolutely adore her. So you know what? I did have Mushoku Tensei be in its own tier because of how much I absolutely adore that series. But you know what? I would put My Dress Up Darling in that same tier. I will put My Dress Up Darling in that same tier with Mushoku Tensei. Mushoku Tensei and My Dress Up Darling. That's the top tier right there. And it's getting season 2. It's getting a season 2 here in just a few days. Here in a few days as of this recording. Here in a few days, in like a week, I believe. It's supposed in like a week or a week and a half. We are supposed to be getting season 2. We are supposed to be getting season 2, and I am so ready. I am so excited. I'm so excited for that. So, but yeah, that's it. That is every single anime I watched from winter 2022. So let's see. Okay. Oh, God, there's 13 animes for the next one. Alright. Oh, no, 14. Alright. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good jazz. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.